Asante, Register, Ngleshie Alata, Traditional Council. Papa ne actually Mr. Minka, the Ministry of Chieftaincy, Chief of Director for Chieftaincy. Regional House Research, actually Auntie Benis. Benisoa. Research, regional, actually President. Thinker. What here the staff Harriet Hughes. Kagbene Dr. Sansa. Kagbene Ashley Keheri. Durando.
Mebaha, my nigga will be a manager. It is so to make kanga. To me, say, make you make a profile. Okay. I bring you Name. I bring you greetings from the Ministry of Chieftaincy, and especially from my minister, Honorable Asamoah Boateng. He would have wished to be here himself today as a routine visit to come and visit Ngleshie Alata, and then we have a chat. As a normal thing that we do, once in a while we go through all the traditional councils, regional houses, and we have chat with them. We answer about their problems, we educate them on some that will come before us, and what we think they are lacking, we find a means of educating them, so that the traditional councils will grow and work according to what the dictates of the Act and the Constitution. But unfortunately, we all know the period in which we are now. These days, it's difficult to get a politician to do other things. You know, this is that time of the 4-year term where politicians at this time they are very busy. As I speak now, my minister is in the Upper West region, and so me as the Director of Chieftaincy, in his absence, I take up that responsibility and visit traditional councils, regional houses, and do what he would have done if he were to be available. So I bring you greetings from him and the whole of the ministry, including my Chief Director.
You're welcome.
And Ngleshie Alata, in Greater Accra, among the Gadangwis, it's one of the oldest and the biggest traditional areas in Accra. So at times when we hear certain things going on, it becomes so disheartening that we have decided to take time off today to come and give you some sort of encouragement and education on how our councils should run. We are sorry, I came straight away from hospital. I had a problem with my ear yesterday. So once in a while, that will happen. You know, from the Constitution, it's a constitutional provision, not anybody's wish. It's not even the Chieftaincy Act, which happens to be our Bible. This one is from the Constitution itself. That traditional councils and the regional houses must meet at least 2 times a year. That is a constitutional provision nobody can do anything about. It is in the Constitution. If we do not want it, then probably we should lobby Parliament to probably amend it. But so far as it's not amended, we are enjoined by the Constitution to meet twice a year. The purpose of that article is to meet in the early part of the year, so that we could take stock of what happened last year and then propose or re-examine what we should do to correct the mistakes of the past year and plan ahead for the year ahead of us. So that at the end of the year too, we meet once to assess what we did for the whole year. You know, it's like even human beings, every new year, we make some sort of commitments and we charge ourselves that and make resolutions. This year, I'll do this, and this. So at the end of the year, it is incumbent on you to also assess if the what do you call it, the promises you made to yourself, you've been able to achieve them. That is why the Constitution says we should meet twice a year from the Constitution. And even that, in between the first meeting and the last meeting, if some issues come up, we could meet, and those meetings will be extraordinary meetings. So these are some of the dictates of the Constitution that you and I cannot do anything about. The Constitution says we should meet twice a year. And then the conduct of business of traditional council too is not to the whims and caprices of anybody. That one too we can refer to the Chieftaincy Act. The Chieftaincy Act also educates us on what and how we should run the traditional councils. These are some of the. And even that, in between the first meeting and the last meeting, if some issues come up, we could meet, and those meetings will be extraordinary meetings. So these are some of the dictates of the Constitution that you and I cannot do anything about. The Constitution says we should meet twice a year. And then the conduct of business of traditional council too is not to the whims and caprices of anybody. That one too we can refer to the Chieftaincy Act. The Chieftaincy Act also educates us on what and how we should run the traditional councils. These are some of the reasons why I've come to visit you today, so that we can all discuss. Where probably you have problems and ask questions, I'll answer. But by way of education, I'll try or attempt to talk about the common things that we meet in all traditional councils, not probably peculiar to Ngleshie, Alata, but normally there are problems that happen. As to membership for the traditional council, to start from there, we all know that there are two booths at the National House of Chiefs. One, all registered chiefs. If you become a chief, you have to be registered. Your name must enter the National Register of Chiefs. And the traditional area too, if it's so big, not every chief that can become a member of the traditional council. So some limit it to only divisional chiefs. That is how the traditional council want to run, traditional area want to run their council. Some limit it to only divisional chiefs. Others to include sub-divisional chiefs. In some places they even include a dikrofo. But it depends on how you have configured your own traditional area. And we at the ministry, what we do is, there are some of the laws, we don't make them for you. What you have said is the way you operate. We make sure you go strictly by it. It is like installations and all other things. We don't come to tell you what your culture is, what you should do. But what you have there, you yourself have put there as your culture. That way we will police you to go strictly by what you have said is your culture. But when we come to the traditional council too, as I've said, one of our core functions that the Constitution has placed on us is adjudication of chieftaincy matters, and that is strictly by traditional council members only. And before you become a traditional council member, one, you should be registered. Two, you should be among those people, the group that your traditional area, they've agreed that they should be traditional council members. And three, a judge, at least a judge from the how do you call it, circuit court or district magistrate court should swear you in. You see, when you become a chief, sorry to say, you yourself at times you lower the bar too much. If you were to be called a chief per the Constitution and our laws, what is MP? But the difference, you are bigger than MP because you don't vote for you every 4 years. You don't go to beg people that I beg you vote for me and make promises. Yours is all things being equal until death do you apart. You hold your position. You don't go to renew your mandate. Until Mr. Emotion, you know, say, also check appointee, but appointees, yes, swear in. Now we are also chair by our traditions. Let me tell you, the chief in Ngleshie Alata can say something, not even see. You insult a politician, you go scot-free. Even our president at times they insult him. But go to Kumasi and insult to 24. It's your cops that they will bring home. What is it in Ashanti that they do that we can do here? Then Ashanti for here, we do my info. Or can Casano be also? What is, let's put it in two for aside, Paramount Chiefs and the divisional chiefs. What is it that they do that you don't do? Woman ya him for someone. Or your Paramount Chief is so chair Paramount Chief. Mampo Hene also chair English Alata Hene. Not then or no Kasa a year Juma. Nan cried the English Alata. The way at times the girls and the dangbys they address their chiefs. I sit there and my heart is bleeding.
God bless you.
And you know one thing, Ashantis they don't have any magic. It is like how you sell your goods in the market. That is how the people coming will buy them.
Thank you.
If at the end of during Christmas time I have a pottery and I go to the market and say my best I'm selling them 20 cedis. Everybody will rush and buy 20. But somebody will say no, me I'm selling mine 200. And lo and behold, people will buy the 200 too. And they said they are told, let's bring respect and dignity into our chieftaincy in Ghana as a whole. And I say, Obaha me you work about chomi ga. Me pesa me ka no so emma. Wow, key, you say akoko ananoma me feathers me takra no. En na ma ne yekese no ayefe. Ye tutu anoma bia hoto a time. Enti ohene bia ne obeka say me yekese ye twetwe aye. Ye the girls and the dangbys. We have to treat our chiefs the way we would like others to respect them. I don't know if 2 days ago, you want it. For big time politicians, some will remove their sandals and bring their cloth down. Some even kneel before they agree to tune for. Excuse me, who is a tune for? He's a chief. So how different is our chiefs in Danby? Ms. Ramo, let's give due respect to our chiefs. But for they are the embodiment of our souls. Before the white man came, they were the war commanders, they were the doctors, everything. And don't let's think that it's a white man who came to teach us anything. We were doing everything that we had to do, and we were living our lives before the white man came. So that is it. So National Council members will be those who have been accepted to be members of the council. It's not every chief that is a member. And two, you have to swear oath of office, oath of judicial oath of secrecy, and oath of membership. You have to swear these 4 oaths. And in fact, the politicians are the same thing that they swear. And whatever the oath contains, it's in the constitution. It is not Ngleshie Alata per what we want. It's what the constitution says we should do. So the members, they've sworn whatever oath the president of Ghana has sworn, whatever oath the ministers have sworn, whatever oath the DCs. So they are not bigger than you in that sense. You can't go to beg people every 4 years. As I was saying, one of our core businesses as a traditional council is the adjudication of chieftaincy cases. In the wisdom of the framers of the constitution, they saw that chieftaincy is a peculiar institution and it's reserved for very few people. It's not general thing that like assemblyman that everybody can come and contest. But you, that me, you are my subject. I am ruling over you. And if I have a problem, you come to sit me down that you are coming to judge me. How can you a citizen judge your overlord? And so if that is the case, then it's a matter among equals. Then let's take the chieftaincy cases away from the courts. Let me give you an example. When you go to a court, a judge may be an Eve, and you are talking a quarter. How do you expect an Eve to come and explain your court? He can't. Because me, if you ask me probably because of my position, I've learned a lot of cultures because of what I do. But if any ordinary person at all, and you bring him to James Alata, they say understand in Ulomo. They say what Ulomo do best. They say there's somebody called Sheketele. If you go to other areas, what is even Sheketele? What are his duties? So me, Ebono, I don't know. So I might be tempted to judge you by what I know from Bono. Because I'm a born and bred from there. If I come to judge your case, because I don't know you and I don't know your culture, I'll be using my own culture. And that is wrong. That's why I say, okay, then amongst you, let's choose people who understand your own language, who understand your own culture, who understand how things work. Then hand it over to them and let them judge chieftaincy cases. And so the framework of the Constitution says, any cause or matter affecting chieftaincy that does not involve a paramount stool or asantine. Once asantine Constitution, asantine and other paramount chiefs. Why? Because they, the paramount chief, they have made him so. So any time there is a case and the person is not of the status of a Omaihime or Omaihima, but of course when you say chief per the Constitution, it includes women. If you're Hima, you're a chief per the Constitution. But when it comes to look at that is when we would interpret Ohima or Hene, but paramountcy is paramountcy. So if the case does not involve the paramount stool, there should be 3 or 5 people chosen from among the traditional council members. And then there will be a traditional council meeting to confirm them. They will be selected, most probably the registrar and the paramount chief or standing committee may select them. And it will come to the general meeting. For general meeting to confirm, say, Yajia to say, I say, I won't speak you, I'm speaking. Don't mind me. So that the traditional council will agree that the case between Ulomo and Jashite, these are the 5 members or 3 members that the traditional council has chosen to settle that case. And of course, the registrar is the automatic secretary or his or her appointed official. If the registrar cannot do it, she can appoint one of her lieutenants to sit in for her. The person is not sitting in his or her own capacity, but for the registrar. And the registrar too is doing that for the regional registrar. And the regional registrar is doing it for me. And I'm doing for my chief director. That is how it goes. So the registrar is automatic secretary to the Judicial Committee. And the 3 members that general meeting will confirm will be members to handle the case. When they finish, they will give their reasons to the registrar, and registrar will write the final judgment. When, of course, it's not every case that you will finish and people will be okay. So if anybody feels aggrieved, in the wisdom of the framers of the Constitution, they say take it to the Regional House of Chiefs. And the Regional House of Chiefs too comprises of all paramount chiefs in the region. So it is presupposed that the paramount chiefs, they know the cultures of all the traditional areas. So a case from Ngleshie Alata will not go to Central Region House of Chiefs. It will not go to Guna House of Chiefs. It must go to Gatangbe. That is the Greater Accra House of Chiefs, who know and understand the local cultures here. And so they will act as an appeal court. And there, because it is going higher, this time, apart from the members, there is a judge of the status of a high court, a lawyer of the status of a high court judge, who, or in other words, who is qualified to be a high court judge, to sit in and write the proceedings as is written in court. You know, in the case of traditional council, it's a registrar, but in the case of the regional house, it is the lawyer who is of the status of a high court judge who will do who write the proceedings. And there are more legalities. So he, not being a member of the panel, but will give legal guidance to the members of the committee, Judicial Committee at the Regional House. Give them guidance, legal guidance, that probably when it's the lower court, we might not concern ourselves much with those things, but when they get there, it's a lawyer of the status or who could be appointed as High Court judge Then they will also pick 5 people, the same system. They will bring it to the general meeting, and general meeting will confirm them. And then this. And the moment general meeting confirm them from either traditional council or regional house, they become independent. Nobody can call them and say, do this case this way or do this case this way. They sit, when they sit, they are clothed with the powers of a court. One day someone will bring a paper, you don't come. You are being contemptuous. When they ask you, whatever you say is under oath, like you are doing in court. And the members are protected, are immune. You cannot sue the members of the Judicial Committee whilst they are doing their job. They are clothed with immunity because they sit as lawyers. There is a case at Siaman. They brought me the rate yesterday and I was laughing. They've cited a circuit court judge who came to swear in some members for contempt. That's Ankrofu Mwade. Who consulted judge for contempt about what you need to. It will not fly. You can't. Because they are working under the Constitution, and the Constitution gives them some independence. If you disagree with them, go on appeal. So that regional house to acting as an appeal court, if you are dissatisfied with their judgment or their ruling, you have the right to go to the national house, which is also acting as our Supreme Court, or better put, appeals court. So if national house rules on it and you are not convinced, or you are not happy about their ruling, straight away to Supreme Court. So we do not belong to the orthodox ways, going to the High Court, Appeal Court. Chieftaincy cases don't go. However, unless one is about matter of law, then you go for the High Court to interpret and then direct. But the High Court, no High Court in Ghana, no appeals court in Ghana can pronounce somebody a chief or distill a chief. No High Court, no appeal court. Even Supreme Court, they do not have original jurisdiction. Whatever goes to Supreme Court should be appellate matter. You can only go there on appeal. You cannot invoke the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court on any chieftaincy matter. You can't. No chieftaincy matter. Nobody can, unless probably it is explanation of some law or some statute. If there's a provision in the Constitution that is becoming a problem as a result of or during the trial, then you can go to High Court, which is Supreme Court, which is the only body mandated to interpret what the Constitution says. So about the only time you can invoke in a chieftaincy matter, you can invoke the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court is when it is about interpretation of a law. But you can't go there and say, to Supreme Court to me, mommy. No. And now Supreme Court see what way no. It should pass to the traditional council, regional house of chiefs, national house of chiefs, before it goes to Supreme Court. Actions of the traditional councils, as I've already said, are clothed or provided for in the Constitution or the Enabling Act, that is the Chieftaincy Act. And we have a CI 27 and others. They guide the registrars on how to handle the chieftaincy cases. For instance, every traditional council must be headed by a president. And by law and by default, that is the Omahene of the area, if he's being gazetted. If he has sworn the oath of office and all the 4 oaths, automatically becomes the president of the Transaction Council, because the Act says the president, in addition to other chiefs. So the president is automatic member when he is sworn in, and then the other chiefs will join him. And so in the absence of the president, there is this word that has caused so much problem and confusion: acting president, acting president, acting president, and especially Greater Accra. Me, I've worked in about 11 of the 16 regions. I've headed 11 of the 16 regions. I've headed Greater Accra before. I've headed Central. I've headed Western, Bono, even National. I was a deputy registrar of the National House. I've headed Uti. I've headed Upper West. So by virtue of my work, I've run a lot. And nowhere in no region is there a problem with acting president like Greater Accra. For whatever reason, I don't know. You know, Greater Accra, some people go ahead to call themselves acting Omahene. Abomination. Omahene is by blood. You can't buy it with money, not with your professorial degrees.
By blood.
By blood. Omahene, you cannot buy it. So there's no way an acting president can be acting Omahene. No. And even apart from Greater Accra, as already said, in other jurisdictions, when the Omahene is installed, though he has not been gazetted, but he becomes an ex-official member of the traditional council. He will come, he will not chair. But no, when the Omahene sits in, whether he chairs or not, his word is a command. He does not sign checks, but because he's not been gazetted, does not mean he's the Omahene. He is Omahene. Let me bring the distinction between the two. But the moment you are installed, the Constitution and the Act says you are a chief. And so you enjoy all of your chiefly perks of office. But the traditional council is a creature of statute, whilst the Omahene of the traditional area is by custom and traditions. So if your custom and traditions will go through everything and you're Omahene, you're Omahene. If royalties come and Omahene should be paid, they will pay you as Omahene, not president of the traditional council, because you have assumed the duty of Omahene, though you are yet to become a member of the traditional council. So you may not be able to sign check at the bank to withdraw as Omahene because you are not a member of the council. But the members, the one you call acting president and others, can sign and give the Omahene his due as an Omahene, not as president of the council. He might not be able to perform statutory duties by signing leases and doing other things that traditional council president should do. But as for Omahene, he is. So Omahene of the traditional area is created by tradition and custom. President and members of the traditional council created by statute, by law, and so they operate separately. So every Omahene carries two positions. Omahene of the traditional area, position number 1. Then by default, because of that, he becomes president of the traditional council. The same person will carry, it is like, let's say, DCE, being a DCE, and by default of his job, he is the chairman of the district security DISEC. Because he is a DC, automatically, he is the chairman of DISEC. So because somebody has been made Omahene, automatically he is the president of the traditional council. But see, their duties are separate, not the same thing. So what does the Act or even the Constitution say about Omahene? That acting presidents that will fight so much over, want to kill each other because over a acting presidency. One, it is not position of right to any family. The Act is clear that in the absence of the Omahene, the next chief in seniority will be there. And even during meetings, but in the absence of the Omahene, you call meetings, the registrar is there. By resolution, you can call a meeting. Then one of you will be elected to chair the meeting. And then he will be given his job description that after the meeting, we want you to do this. And then you adjourn the meeting to another date. Then you come and meet and you continue. Formally, it was the opposite, but the way Greater Accra is going now, we're going by the tenets of the Act. Elect somebody at the meeting to chair. When he chairs, whatever document he has to sign, he will sign. If he has to represent you at a meeting, Dodowa, he will represent you. If he has to represent a meeting at a ministry, he will represent you. And stop killing each other over this acting president.
Thank you.
Then acting president, by English. Says the Ghana hanging out with you, baby. Said the transition council of the highest high court cases, English data. No person would defense, I would defense or another thing. Moon defense or manso, Mr. Obiso of a camera from the neighbor to a mechanical casa. Some is make up from a neighbor and make a tree. And yes, Remo, more person would defense, I won't defense the English for let me organize the year. I might be our mania we are about English for the woman to me organize the year. But mom could defense our master. Bible cross a year when you mean I come home, me and Tina Jojo. Na Bible Corona, the nice on the say, so we are up on the Corona, Frobina Fatman, and Namun CC. Now, also, Modo Muni and Nanya Copa, what time Muni and Yakuba Moon, the Modona, Namu your trough for Miss Remo, Mumma court case is not and conform. Na English answering in an answer. English answering from to my pentra. Amen. Send it in Tamachi crack and meeting. Come on, maybe dress and send baby. I'm saying, maybe me and the director, maybe traditional council. And Constitution say, yet me share 2 times every year, and nobody can stop me. If you want to stop me, amend the Constitution. That's all. If you amend the Constitution, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I obey. But so far as it remains in the Constitution, we should meet twice a year. We continue to meet twice a year until the Constitution is amended. Already, very sorry. You see my ear. I was in the hospital, but because of the importance I attach to this, I have come today. So I've spoken a lot. I may not be able to cover everything. So if there are any questions, if you bring them up, I'll continue. If I had come from office direct, I would have brought a well-prepared December. Yesterday, late in the night, I had a problem with my ear. And so now they put something in that I put drops in. So I was in the hospital since 7:30. You see the way I'm sweating. So if there's anything I did not touch on. So that acting presidency, agree on one person. And he will chair, in terms of meetings, he will chair. If you assign duties to him, if he has to go to represent you at other fora, mandating or her, so instead there's women empowerment. Who can him run for here and can walk court. So, and I hope you've gone far on this. So let us practice it that way and stop Masama on a dos English first morning. My first year with you, meaning say transfer area any brim offense. Let's remind Musuka Krana matras.